what you can do is you can set this up in a bit of a checklist when you go around, and you can do inspections of the workplace.
Yep.
It's not invading privacy. It's a responsibility, a duty that you have. Distance that the screen is away from the person as well. We talked about electrical cords and cables, making sure that they're safe. And what's another thing? What's a way to do that? Make sure they're in good condition.
Inspect them.
Yes, yeah. Can you do that?
No, have someone come in and do it on a regular basis just to check things.
And do they leave anything behind on that cable?
A tag.
Fantastic. So you can check those tags and make sure that they're in date. So how did you go there with just did that help you in thinking about how do I go around and look for hazards now in the workplace?
Yes.
Excellent. Right, now we're just going to think about what do we do with that? We've got that information now. What do we do with it? So we're going to be assessing and controlling hazards in the workplace, and the common term for that is risk management. All workplaces must follow a process to identify hazards and remove or reduce associated risks. Again, this isn't just your business saying you need to do this. Not only is it good practice from keeping you safe, but it's law. The law says you have to do it. And if you don't do it and someone gets hurt, you can be held accountable for it, particularly if you're in charge of people. A hazard is anything that could cause harm to people and property. That's probably the main thing you need to remember from the hazard point of view. It could cause harm to people or property. It has the potential to do that. And risk management is when we think about what's the probability of that happening, and then what would happen if it actually did occur. So risk is the chance of probability of harm if people or property are exposed to that hazard. So what's the likelihood of it happening, and what's the outcome of that happening? And that gives us an idea of where it would sit on a risk matrix process. And we look at then how we control that to try and reduce that risk. To assess a hazard, you need to work out the risk of the hazard, and this is determined by asking yourself the following questions. How likely is it to cause harm? How serious would the harm be? And you need to be credible about that, because, someone could say, I could burn my finger on the urn, go to hospital to get it treated, end up with staph and die, So you've got to be credible about the risk side of things. You get that from involving people in the risk management process and researching as well. So if you come across a hazard, a really good thing to do when you're going through risk management is try and involve, I'll say as many people as possible from the widest variety of backgrounds in that, because they'll say, this has happened here, or this has happened here, and then they start to come up with, this is what we did about it as well. You still have documents that will guide you. All identified hazards must be controlled to remove or reduce the risk of harm. To control the hazards, you need to assess the likelihood and consequence of the hazard occurring, determine and implement the most effective control measures. So have you ever seen something like this before? This might be a little bit out there. Okay. So this is commonly used in risk management, and it's something that's you might be heard it called just a risk matrix. Another common term is a 5x5 risk matrix, because we've got 5 different things across the top here and 5 different things across the side here as well. And they are broken down into a consequence, which is an outcome of when a hazard goes wrong and hurts someone. What's the outcome going to be? And down the side here we have the likelihood of it happening. Okay? I'll just let you have a quick a couple of seconds just to look at that. Look at some of the headings up there to give you an idea what we're talking about. Now, how we use this to give you an example, and because I've got a rail background, I love to talk about trains. If we had a level crossing where road crosses over a railway track, and we had no controls there whatsoever, it really was just a road over a railway crossing. We don't know when the trains are coming, nothing to tell the cars if it's a level crossing or anything like that. What we might have with then is we've got no control over that intersection whatsoever. So the first thing I always do, I don't even look at what these are, because if I determine that it's quite low, for me personally, it can lead me down the path and I'm thinking, well, it's going to be a low consequence as well. So I always think about the consequence first. So if that you had that scenario, there's no control. This car can just go over right in front of the train, bang.
Yeah.
Where do you think that would sit on those?
Loss of life.
Loss of life, great. So we know we're in this column over here at the
Yeah.
moment. Now, because there's no controls whatsoever, how likely do you think? There's a lot of trains going across it, a lot of traffic going over that. How often? Where would you see that sitting here?
Probably once a week.
Once a
Or
week?
likely the first two.
Yeah, okay, yeah, and this is what you do, you discuss it. I would say I'd probably go with likely on that.
Yeah.
You might agree with it, and then so you come across
Depends
there.
how busy the road is.
Well, it was a busy
Yeah,
road as
busy
well.
road,
Yeah.
lots of trains.
Yeah, at
probably
least once per week. Great, so guess what? We start in this here, and we circle that, and we say this is where our risk sits now before we implement any controls. Then we go, oh right, well what can we do? Let's put a give way sign up there. Okay? So the cars don't actually have to stop, but
They give way for trains.
they've got to give way to the train, so they don't actually have to stop themselves. So they still cross over that level of crossing. So is there still a risk that they'll be hit by a train?
Well, yeah, if they don't give way.
As a consequence.
But as a consequence,
They get hit by the train. Is it the same outcome as before?
if they get hit by the
Yeah.
train, it is.
Guess what? We're still in this one here.
Yeah.
But now that we've got the give way
Oh,
sign
yeah.
there, do you think that
Maybe
this?
it's possible.
Okay, so all of a sudden we've reduced
From
it
to
now
high.
from extreme to high. Okay,
Yeah.
so that's a demonstration how we've reduced the risk through a control.
Yeah.
That control sits right down the bottom. Okay, it's an administrative control. So now we start to think outside the box. Go, oh right, well we're still exposing people to risk. What else could we do there? So we might put in stop signs. Oh, well, that might just drop down to might be unlikely now. We might put in boom gates as well.
Go to red.
Yeah, it might even go down to red. But we're still over here because people can still run boom gates. And if they do and get hit by the train, is this still going to happen? Yeah. But I've got an idea. Why don't we build a bridge and put the road over the train?
Well, they're not going to get hit by the train.
Great. So we've eliminated that then.
Yeah.
We've gone from this down to, and if we had to use the matrix, we're down here.
Oh, yeah.
We've actually eliminated it. So do you see how you can apply that in the workplace?
Yeah.
So always try to go for those higher engineering controls, those top controls that eliminate the risk, or put some, so you'll get a different outcome.
Yeah.
If you just rely on those bottom ones, where I'll put some gloves on or just put a sign up or whatever, well, people don't always read those as well. So that's really important when it comes to risk. And like I said, you start somewhere on that column in the consequence, figure out where it sits on the likelihood, and that will give you a start point. Think about what controls you're going to put in. And at the end of the day, you may still be in this column, but you've reduced it down to here. You have demonstrated that you've reduced the risk.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, the law does say that that is acceptable.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the consequence and likelihood gives you that outcome of the risk. You've got to know what the hazard is first.
Yeah.
To do that, it's got to be credible. So I think a car crossing over a level crossing with no controls gets hit by the train. You're right. This could happen. You know. But different things might come into it. Let's just say that locomotive only ever and never goes above 5 kilometres an hour. Well, you might get it right, or it might be here.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So that's where that credibility comes into it. All right, so we talked about this hierarchy of control for trying to, if we cannot eliminate it, then we need to put in something else into the workplace here to try and reduce that risk. And like I said, PP and administrative control sit right at the bottom of that table itself. If you can substitute something, you should get a different outcome. If you can engineer and control it, you should get a different outcome. It might be less severe, and you have to gauge that. If you're still going to get the same outcome, well, then you probably get more down in this area here. So I call these soft controls and hard controls, and then you've obviously got elimination at the top as well. So let's have a look at what it says there. Once you have assessed the risk, you should discuss with your team and or supervisor, your team leader. So here you go, this is a little thing for you now to go, oh, okay, well, that's me. How to eliminate, get rid of it, the hazard, or do something to minimise it. And you've got that responsibility. And you can feed that up the chain, because your boss has got that responsibility as well. The goal is either to remove it or eliminate the hazard so far as reasonably practical, or reducing and minimising that risk as far as is reasonably practical. And And just remember that, yeah, PPE meaning personal protective
Oh, okay.
equipment itself. Yeah. So I think we've got, we're going to do a little bit of an activity right now. So, and this is where I would normally get the students to write their answers out here, but I'm happy just to talk about it.
Oh yeah, that would
If that's
be
okay
great.
with you. Yeah, so we'll just spend a few minutes just talking about this here. So a typical workplace scenario setup. So what I would like you to do is, I want you to have a look at that, just spend a couple of minutes looking at that, and then you start to tell me then what are some of the hazards that you, just let's just deal with the hazards for the moment.
Okay, so the electrical cords.
Yep.
So he's got his rolled chair, so he can roll back on those cords.
Mm-hmm.
His drawers are open.
Mm-hmm.
The guillotine is there.
Yep.
What else can I see? He could spill his coffee all over all his work.
Yep.
His screen might be too high. Not sure about that. He's not got his feet on the floor.
Yes,
He's
good.
not sitting right in his chair.
Yep.
I don't know if that's a heater or a cooler, but his coat's pretty close to it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't know.
Now that's good. That's good. What I'm getting from that, and they're the main ones there, is that you're actually identifying things that would be wrong in the workplace. Now that we know that, let's just have a talk about, well, what are some of the things that, what you could do?
Probably look at setting the office up differently if that's the only PowerPoint.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe turning things around so that's behind things,
Mm-hmm.
so he doesn't have to have cords everywhere.
That's great. Yep.
I'd probably see if he needed a different chair because he's not sitting very well in that one.
Is it? But and thinking outside the box though, it might not be a chair problem
Might be him.
because he might not know about what we talked about.
yeah.
So what would be the thing around that then?
So teaching him, explaining to him the right way to sit.
Correct.
And to help.
Yep.
And then if that wasn't suited, if he couldn't get a nice supporting back, or get his feet on the ground and be even and have the screen right, then we'd look at maybe getting some new equipment for him.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
And also just talking to him about keeping his work area maybe a bit tidier, like push the drawers in when you finish, make sure the guillotine's down, those sorts of things.
And would you just talk to him about that, or do you think-
Probably it depends. If I looked around and there was lots of areas like that, we'd have a group or individually.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then what about you? What could you do as a team leader? What are the things you could do to ensure that these things don't happen?
Just keep reminding them.
Okay. Yep. So
Yeah.
constant communication, education.
Yeah, and maybe some information. Try and get some information from from our company about good ergonomics office stuff,
Yep.
office things that they need to know.
Okay.
So they had their own information.
What about inspections? How about like a weekly office inspection?
Yes,
Might
we
work.
could do that.
Yeah. Yep.
I don't like to do those sorts of things. I get a bit shy.
Oh right.
But
Okay.
that's okay if it would be something I needed
Can
to
I
do.
give you a tip with that then? You don't necessarily have to be the one to do it. You can get others to do that
Yes.
for you as
Yeah,
well.
which would probably be good.
Yeah.
Oh, a roster or
A
some
roster or
sort.
something, that's
Yeah.
right, and give people accountability and ownership of it.
Yes.
Yep. No, great, that's good. I'm happy with your understanding of where that sits at the moment. So thanks for that, Julie. So let's just have a bit of a recap of what we talked about today. A little bit about the legislation. Okay, so understand that there is law that sits above all of this. Hazard identification in the workplace, when we've just done a good exercise on doing that. And then what do we do with it? That risk management process. Eliminate it or reduce that risk to as low as is reasonably practicable. Have you got any questions?
No.
Oh, fantastic.
No, not really. No, I don't have any. No.
Okay, good. Well, thanks for coming along today.
Thank you.
It's been a good session, I hope.
And thank you for adjusting things, or I don't know if you usually read out so much or what, but it's quite easy to
Maybe
understand.
yeah, as long as you understood it, fantastic.
Yes,
All right,
thank
well
you.
that completes the session. session. I do have an evaluation form for you to fill out. But again, thanks for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.